So as PJ gets into the conversation, he emphasized how even though he worked his way up the roster and being one of the pivotal role men for the Houston Rockets along with the Milwaukee Bucks, that even through all that, he still had to come to the negotiating table every off season, still trying to negotiate his value. And it's almost like he had to bargain as if he still didn't do anything. They kind of used him being a role man, not taking shots, almost against him.
Laughing and shit, bro. Like, bro, you got these niggas.
That is funny. No, that's crazy, bro. That like for real, man.
It's so valuable because there's only a few of us that understand what it takes mentally to excel in that role.
For sure. And everybody, and they can say whatever
your
they
teammates
want.
know how valuable you are.
1,000%.
And the GM know how valuable you are.
But
you know what's crazy? The team will negotiate your sacrificial services against you.
Bro.
Because they know you can't get a big deal somewhere else.
because they, listen, bro.
Because other teams don't know how valuable you are.
Listen, dog. That is, I'm telling you, like, I never talk about that. But to me, that's like one of the biggest, everybody values us. When they don't gotta pay you, everybody value you. Every GM I see, everybody I see go something where, man, hey, I love your game, man. Look, nobody, man, I'm looking for 100 U's, blah, 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 blah. Let your contract come up.
No, time out. Yeah, bro, when my shit came up, I damn near told my agent, bro, you can't go nowhere with these numbers. Like, you can't do shit. You can't go nowhere with these numbers, man. Like,
what ends up happening is that the team used you in a way where they're the only ones to know that you're valuable. You're pretty much pigeonholed to them giving you a contract.
I'm gonna kick their ass later, bro. But you got me, all right? You got me. Like, before I know it, I'm in the basement. Like, you know what I mean?
Seriously though, because now if you do leave, bro, you could be in a situation where like dead ass, like you might not play.
Yeah.
The coach, whoever may not really value what you do now.
They don't appreciate that. If you're on a bad team, they don't appreciate none of that.
Oh, no. You can't play on a bad team.
We're gonna lose anyway.
You can't play, and that's the one thing I always will go to a better
you need
team.
A playoff team.
Less money on a playoff team than taking that like a lot of money on the worst team in the league, and
because then your career's gonna shorten.
It's over. It's crazy. My favorite coach ever, Mike D'Antoni. Yo, he's the funniest. I love Mike. Mike's the best, bro. Like literally, like. He's the best, like the most player coach of all time.
Yeah, he don't preach defense.
But listen, like, why would he love me, right? Like, I am average 7, 8 points, like whatever. Mike, like literally, bro, I would have to beg him to take me out a lot of times. Like literally, he would be like, I'll go over. He'd be like we had our, you get your like we had a schedule, like you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we always tweaked it or whatever. And then like big games, like we play Golden State, like I know I'm not coming out the game, right? Like I'm playing the whole game, cool. But then be games, I'd be like, yo, Mike, I'll go over like somebody shooting a free throw, like, yo, I need a second. He'd be like, nah, you're good. And I'd be like,
can you imagine that? You're so valuable to your team in an intangible way, so much that they use you up like that. But when it comes to the negotiating table, they find every which way to actually keep you as a minimum player on the team. But the value you bring to your team is something that can't really be measured.
He'd be like, nah, you good. He's like, hell, PJ, what you want me to do? Who am I put in? He'll look down, like, who else go? Like, nobody down here go guard nobody. Like, he would literally tell me that, right? Like,
it'd be like first to 150 with y'all.
For sure, right? Yo, listen, bro. Mike would play 6 people. I'm telling you, like, it ain't like, but the value in that, right? Like a coach having that much, like he value you that much, where he feel like he can't take you out the game.
But when it comes to the negotiation table, that value don't translate. That's not making sense. Either that coach got to vouch for you, something's up. He's using you like that, but when it comes to the negotiation table, that shit don't translate. It's just not adding up. And in a minute, we'll see how LeBron James's former agent, the guy who him and Rich Paul basically built the whole blueprint off of Clutch Sports, kind of emphasize how owners find every which way not to pay players. But let's get back to PJ.
Then when your contract come up, they be like, want to bring up every other thing. Your numbers. Your numbers ain't mattered not one bit the whole time you was there. Now your numbers matter.
So like anything in life, you got to negotiate. Everything is a battle. You got to play your position. You got to understand when to leverage your position And LeBron's former agent, Mark Termini, spoke on this, on how he had to fight to get LeBron a max deal when he returned back to Cleveland. And it's crazy the fact that you could be LeBron James, increase your NBA's franchise net worth by over $500 million. But when it comes to the negotiation table, you still have to actually fight for what you deserve. And LeBron's agent is the same guy that's been running game on the NBA owners ever since Jordan was playing in the league. You've seen it with Jim Jackson. You've seen it with Ben Simmons, with the Philadelphia 76ers still getting paid, even though he had a back injury and he was out for most of the season. And you see the whole mantra of Clutch Sports is getting guys paid. So all this was built off the Mark Termini blueprint. Rich Paul has even stated himself, everything he's done with Clutch Sports is from learning from the Mark Termini tree. You guys check out what Mark had to say. Every once in a while, I'll check in.
Yeah, I'm playing a game and you're using your tactic. I'm not mad at you, but it's my job to recognize your tactic, to counter it, and to come up with my own tactics. If I told you the owners are great, we've got this deadline, whether it's a marketing deadline, I've heard religious holidays deadline, I've heard wedding deadlines, I've heard investment deadlines, and it's easy, especially if the agent and the player, and this is a very subliminal psychological trait that you guys will recognize as you see it, but maybe you've never really thought about it, where the agent and the player view themselves somewhat as inferior to the owner. The owner's a billionaire. These are very intimidating guys. The team is a very powerful institution. As one player told me that I highly respected him, but he was questioning a tactic. He goes, the man always wins. I'm like, well, not always. Not if somebody is skilled enough to exploit the needs or the weaknesses that the man has. I never accepted that. And I never went to the table with that. So that's where I came up with the axiom. I see too many people say, well, I've got to get this done by a certain day, whether it's because July 3rd, all my friends are going to ask me, why is my name not on the scroll at ESPN?
And then you hear also Woj emphasizes this all the time. And that messaging really comes from the owners. They use Woj to actually market this, as teams are not going to have enough money after July 3rd to sign players. Woj repeats this all the time. So best believe a lot of the information he get is on the behest of the owners.
I have to educate that client, say, who cares? Why are you imposing an artificial, free agency doesn't end until November, hypothetically. So why are you imposing an artificial deadline? I have to get my contract done by the 3rd. I have to get my contract done. I'm going on my honeymoon. I've heard all of these. And you have to have enough stature and experience to tell the player, like, look, I don't care about your honeymoon or your cruise or your holiday or whatever it is. When the deal is done properly and it's ready to sign, that's when it'll be done. And you're going to be a lot happier for it, young man, because you're going to look back and laugh and say, wow, why would I sacrifice my position for this artificial deadline that I imposed on myself? And people do it all the time in business. They'll just say, well, I'll get back to you with an answer by Wednesday. And I ask them, well, why are you imposing that deadline on yourself? Why don't you just wait? Because you don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday. Something else might come into the equation that you can use. So that's where that comes from. And why it applies to many different areas across the decades of negotiations, but also outside of the NBA negotiation.
So Mark Termini right there gives you an insight on some of the psychological games the owners do play. I mean, in general, all this plays out in life. Whether you negotiating at your own job, they play the same games. And it's important for everyone to understand that you have to negotiate your value. You have to understand when you have leverage and you put in the work and properly position yourself to get what you're worth. Once again, Mark Termini is LeBron's former agent. He's still in business with LeBron in a way because Clutch Sports is basically his blueprint. But Mark Termini still had to come to the table and go back and forth in order to get LeBron a supermax deal when he returned to Cleveland. Once again, you could be LeBron James, add over $500 million in net worth to your NBA franchise, but you still have to fight to get a supermax contract, which is almost pennies compared to what he's really worth to the franchise. So can you only imagine a player like PJ Tucker, a guy who worked his way up from being the 15th man on the roster. So not only mentally, when it comes to the game on the floor, it's challenging, not touching the ball, guarding the best player on the court, but also they're going to hold all that against you when you come to the negotiation table and you're supposed to monetize all that. So once again, it's a very unique time. We're getting a lot of different perspectives here. It's great to see the players kind of get their shit off. And hey, I don't mind it.
Get ready to discuss lowballing. And I was just like, look, with all due respect, the game's 48 minutes. I done played 31 minutes. Fuck what you talking about. I'm important. So we go anywhere else. I'm in the top 6, top 7. You do the numbers when I finish the games, which is top 5, whatever. Like, I'll tell you what I view. You know what I mean? It's just like, nah, if I'm top 6 or 7 and I'm playing 30, you know what I mean? Like 60% of the game, 65, I'm important, bro.
Yeah.
And shit, if I could hit a 3, I'll probably be playing, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like, so,
no, 100%.
But you really got to add that up to the situation.
The math don't get the math when it comes to that money, though. You cancel that.